Hey there, I'm David Maddow, and you have a friend to lean on. This is, I think it's, what is it, episode 5 of my Friend to Lean On series. I thank you so much for being with me. As I've said before, it's on my RV Dummy channel. It's part of my channel, but it's really not part of my channel because it's where I keep these videos, but it's not really anything to do with RVing per se. So I just want to make sure you're aware of that. It's a Friend to Lean On is a little kind of series where I just kind of hang out with you. We're friends, and if you need somebody to talk to, even though I'm going to be the one doing most of the talking, you can still talk to me, but I will only hear you through your comments on comments on the video on the YouTube page. Unfortunately, I wish it were more of a two-way thing, but for right now, we just got to do it one way. But I still am a friend. If you have a tough time going to sleep, maybe, which we've all gone through insomnia, periods of insomnia. I've had that, but I'm getting better now. But feel free to just play this episode or play any of my episodes, A Friend to Lean on your device next to your bed while you doze off to sleep. As I've told you in the past, I won't be offended. That's one of the reasons I'm doing this, just to hear a soothing voice, somebody to hang out with. Last year was a tough year. It was really tough. I mean, not being able to see friends and family members and being confined to home more than we ever have been. It was really tough, and there's probably more anxiety, depression, all kinds of weird things, people not having enough money because maybe their businesses haven't done as well during COVID. It was a crazy year. Now that we're into 2021, and as I'm recording this, it's pretty much close to the end of January right now, 2021. I'm looking forward to really, really good things. But no matter what, no matter how good things get, or even if they get crazy and bad again, I just want to let you know I'm always here for you, to be a friend to lean on. I usually spend about the first, let's say 8 to 10 minutes at the beginning of the show describing what it's about to new listeners and new viewers, because I hope this really resonates with a lot of people. And maybe if you can do me a favor, you can refer friends or family members or anybody you know that could use a friend to lean on. Even one person, if you think of one person that this would benefit, it would really I would appreciate it, and it would benefit them. That's the most important thing. I don't get paid for this. It's just a passion of mine to help people. There are some things you can do to help the channel if you're interested. You don't have to. There's no obligation whatsoever. My wife Yoko is now making some beautiful, beautiful soap, which we use every day in our lives, in our bath and our sink. It's called Yoko's Salt Lake Soap, and it's really the best soap I've ever used in my life. And if you want to buy a little bit of that to help support the channel, that's always appreciated. Go to yokosoap.square.site. That's what it is, Yoko Soap. And Yoko Soap is just spelled out YOKOSOAP. Also, if you're not a member of my newsletter yet, I've got a newsletter that comes out by email every 2 weeks. It's called Dave Discovers. It's really good. It's been going on for several years now. If you're not a member of that, it's a great little newsletter. Every 2 weeks, it takes you 5 minutes to read, but it's got some really, really good tips. Go to join.davidmaddow.com and you can become a member of the newsletter there. And the other thing is, just keep in mind, it's not ready yet, but keep in mind I am writing a book that should be ready sometime. I'm gonna say should certainly be ready by April of this year, March, April, but probably more likely April of 2021. It's called How to Become the Neighborhood Millionaire. And on my RV channel, I've always tried to help people in a financial way as well, because I don't want to see people mess up their financial lives. And even though I'm not a financial planner, I don't have any true formal training in personal finance. I've just learned over decades how to do things right. And now I'm sitting pretty comfortable just because I'm just like you. I'm no different than you are. I'm just a regular guy, but I've learned certain things, how to do things right, what mistakes not to repeat, and I'm sharing everything in this upcoming book, How to Become the Neighborhood Millionaire. My life does not revolve about money at all. If you know me, you know that it's more about friends, family, having fun, spirituality, helping others. That's what my life revolves around. But still, you need money to put food on the table and to pay your bills, and it's always a good thing to have lying around. So that's that. I want to give a shout out to anybody that got the secret code word and put it in the comments from the last episode. We're having some fun with that. So what I do is later on in the episode, as we get started, there'll come a point where I was always curious to see how long people are watching this video. Do they hear the first few minutes and get sick of it and turn it off, or are some people really watching the entire thing or listening to the entire thing? So I said, I'm going to embed like a code word. I'll tell you when it comes up, and if you write this in the comments, I'll give you a shout out. So, who am I shouting out from the last episode, from episode 4? We've got Alan Levine. The code was the dance, or the BS dance, or I did say bullshit dance. I used a little bit of bad wording in my, but it's my show. I can do whatever I want, right? You give me permission to do that. Alan Levine, he said something very interesting. He said he knows all about the bullshit dance, but luckily he's with the right person, and he has not done the bullshit dance in 39 years. Wow. Congratulations, Alan. Janice Lala, I hope I got your last name pronounced correctly. Janice Lala also commented. Janice, I really appreciate that, and I appreciate you as a viewer and that you got all the way through it. That's really cool. I'm an outdoor nomad. We all know him as Steve. He's got a great YouTube channel. I'm not sure if he's still putting up video. I'm just not positive, but I know Steve is a great guy, good friend, and somebody that is not only a good family man, but somebody that travels the country and really gets the most out of his life. So Steve, thanks so much for your comments. You can read all of their comments from that last episode 4 if you want to go back to that. Roads of Life, Robert. Hey, Robert, thank you so much. You're very funny. Always love your humor. You're a witty guy, and I really enjoyed reading your comment there as well. And I'm glad you stuck with it because, wow, I'm really honored to have all these people that stuck with the whole show. Marshall Maddow, my brother, great comment too. And I want to talk, in this episode, I'm going to talk just a little bit more about the drumming that Marshall has taught me over the past week or two. And a couple other things about Marshall. He is my brother, so I think I've got the right, I can talk about him, right? It's all good, don't worry. I'm not going to say anything bad about him. He's a great guy. But I got a couple stories there. Kim, who goes by KMR, thank you so much for your loyalty, for your friendship, and for watching my videos. I really appreciate that. You got the dance right. And Cindy Hansen, also thank you so much. If I missed anybody, again, I am truly, truly apologetic. I'm still trying to work this out. But there will be code word, a secret code word, secret password that I'll share with you a little bit later in the show sometime. And again, when you hear it, just make sure you make it clear in the comments. Bury it in there. I'll tell you more about it so it's not very obvious that anybody could just go through and look at it. And if somebody wants to cheat, you know, aren't there always cheaters out there? That's a shame, but I don't think anybody would do that. I really don't think anybody would do that, but we'll get on with that. The last thing I want to say before we get actually into the show itself is, I got a comment on one of my other episodes, not a friend to lean on, but one of my RV episodes. Somebody told me that it sounds like I'm in a tunnel. The audio sounds horrible. And I'm using the brand new Apple headphones. I know it's not studio quality. I realize that. But this person made a comment like it was horrible and echoing and couldn't understand. And I want to ask you, so if you remember in the comments, let me know how I sound. Is it what I'm going for is not necessarily studio quality. I've got like some really expensive microphones all over the place in the studio, but this is so easy. It's so simple. And the room I use here, my studio, is actually, believe it or not, it's not good acoustics here in the room. So it may sound a little bit like a tunnel, but is it okay? Is it good enough? That's my question. Is it good enough? Do I need to really improve it seriously, or is it okay? Can you live with it? Okay, I hope so. Let me know, please. That's very important to me. I want to make sure I'm not losing people because the sound quality is so bad that people are saying they can't even understand me, which this person made it sound like that. I hope it's not like that. Okay, so we are past the intros. Let's get into today's show. Again, the shows are highly unscripted. Sometimes I write down a couple little ideas, but pretty much for the most part, they're really unscripted. And they go anywhere from, I'm going to say anywhere from 50 minutes to an hour. I'm going to probably keep it in that range. Like the short end will probably be about 50 minutes, which maybe today will only be 50. Who knows? I'm going into it, I have no idea. But if I'm on a roll and there's like a lot to talk about, I could go an hour, but I would never take it over the hour, because I think that's probably too much. So the sweet spot is probably between the 50 minutes and 50 to 60 minutes. So since I mentioned my brother Marshall, let's start off talking about Marshall first. Great guy. He's a middle brother. He's a middle brother of three of us. I'm the oldest. There's Marshall, who's middle, and Rich is my youngest brother. The other day I was talking to Marshall on the phone, and Marshall brought up the fact that he is intrigued with YouTube now. And by the way, we're all dentists by profession. I and my youngest brother, Rich, don't practice dentistry anymore. Marshall's still a wet finger. We call it like a wet finger practicing dentist, meaning his fingers are in people's, with gloves on, of course, but his fingers are in people's mouths all day long. He practices dentistry. But he's intrigued with YouTube, and he asked me about my feeling about starting a YouTube channel. And the basis of his YouTube channel, what he wants to do is talk. Marshall has become an expert over many decades on, how can I say this, on dating. He's never been married. He has had a lot of girlfriends, a lot of really nice women in his life, but for some reason, nobody, I guess, has clicked enough for both of them to want to get married. So his life for many decades has been a lot of dating. And he has become what I would say is an expert on dating. Now, it started off in the old days. I don't know if you all probably remember this, but way before the internet. I mean, these days people go on the internet to go on dating sites and Match.com, and I don't even know the name of half the sites anymore. But before the internet, what people used to do was to go in these like local magazines or newspapers, these small, sometimes we call them fish wraps, but these, a lot of times free magazines or newspapers that would have, what do you call, I guess like classified ads, and a certain section would be like meeting other people, how to like meet somebody from the opposite sex or the same sex or whatever it might be. And so that's how people used to get dates before Match.com, people that wanted to do it without going to bars and going out in public and actually having to talk to people. They would go on in these classified ads, and it would be like single male searching for blah blah blah. So Marshall became an expert at that. We're talking, probably a few decades ago. But then as the internet came on, he's become like a true expert at the Match.com and etc. All those Plenty of Fish. Is that one, Plenty of Fish? There's a bunch of them. There's what's the one that you're on your iPhone or your Android and you swipe right or swipe left? What's that called again? Is that Tinder or Tinder? There's like so many. I don't even know what they are. But Marshall wanted to do a YouTube channel on the art of online dating, or maybe even the art of dating. And he's got so many stories that have kept the three brothers intrigued for decades, that he could actually go on there and have like he could make it humorous. He could be like a little self-deprecating, because I think that would be funny, and I think he would be okay with that, because there's some incredibly funny stories he's got over, like I said, over decades. He wants to do this. I'm trying to help him a little bit with it. If he wants my help, would you watch it? Would you watch my brother Marshall's YouTube channel if he started it? Even if you're not looking for dating, just for the pure entertainment value, I would certainly be a fan of it. I would absolutely watch it, and I would be intrigued. I want to see like what's next. It would be almost like a not a sitcom, because it would be true stuff, but not a document, but just like the story of Marshall Maddow's dating life, and maybe even helping other people. I think it would be a really cool idea. So I'll keep you posted if he's going to do it. I'm not sure if he's going to do it. He had the idea. He said he's studying up on YouTube. I said, just record your first video and don't study too much. Just record a video into your phone and publish it to YouTube and let's see what happens. That's the way. See, I think in the past and even in the present, too many people have an idea and they think about it and they study it and they think more and they try to like make it perfect. And by the time they try to make it perfect and do everything just right, what happens is they never get it done. When I started my YouTube channel many, many years ago, I just recorded my first video and I learned as I went. And the first videos I ever posted on YouTube, it's been many, many, many years, even on another channel, I think. I mean, they were probably horrible, but I did it. I learned every step of the way. I learned a little bit more. I learned about how to edit videos, even though my editing these days is, I try to keep it so simple because it's not really what I want to be doing or spending my time with. I don't really want to be spending my time editing videos and making them super fancy. So as you can tell, my studio is super simple. I shoot videos on location many times from the RV, but keeping it simple and just getting it done is the way to do it. I remember even back in, I might have talked to you about this before, I'm not sure, but if I did, just forgive me, but it's a great story. I think it'll help a lot of you. Back in the 80s when I got my very first PC, my very first computer, it was very early on, very few people had computers. And I didn't know much about them at all, but I remember it was a K-Pro. It's a K-Pro computer with a tremendous hard drive. Back in those days, I remember this, the hard drive was 30 megabytes, and that was considered like humongous because many computers back then only had one floppy drive or maybe dual floppy drives and not even a hard drive. So having a computer with a floppy drive, and I think it was was it a 5 1/4 or a 3 1/2? Maybe by then it might have been a 3 1/2, but I don't remember. You know, the 5 1/4s were those, they were actually floppy. You could actually like bend them, but the 3 1/2 drives were like discs were more solid. You couldn't. They looked a little more like a solid piece of plastic with a disc inside of it. So having a computer with 30 megabytes of a hard drive, that was like almost unheard of. So that was like super, super powerful. But I didn't know anything about computers, and I just took it out of the box when I got it. When I bought it. Those days you couldn't buy anything online. There was no internet. So I went to like the local computer store. The guy told me this is what I needed. This is what would be good for me. I bought it. It was a K-Pro, like I said. Took it home, plugged the damn thing in, booted it up, and I started just learning how to use it. And I could have said to myself, well, I've got to read up on it. I've got to study. I've got to understand how to do it. I've got to do this, and I never would have gotten it done. I just opened the damn package up, set it up, probably with reading minimal instructions. I'm like the kind of guy that I just like, when I get something that requires setup, I rarely read instructions. I just use my intuition and just start plugging things in and just going with it. So, Marshall, if you're watching, I hope you're listening, and I hope you just record that first video. It'll be funny. Let's all watch it, and I think you'll have a really good audience because you've got a great personality, and I think you'll connect with a lot of people. So just record the damn video, would you? And speaking of Marshall, I don't want to make this whole video about Marshall, but he did teach me the paradiddle drumming. I can't move my camera right now, but the paradiddle, I'm actually practicing that. Let's see if I can just do it on the table here a little bit. I mess up a little bit. Now I can go faster too, but the slower I go, I can keep going forever. But if I start going faster, then I'm not a drummer, but it's a good exercise. I think it's actually a really good exercise. Let's see, it's right, left, right, left. And you just keep repeating that sequence. And if you're looking for something to do for hand, eye, motor skills, brain coordination, it's even if I'm not a drummer, I'm not a musician. I mean, I've played guitar over the years and I'm horrible at it. I sing a little bit. I'm definitely not a drummer, not a percussionist, but I do have I think I showed you a couple episodes ago, a djembe drum. Yoko and I both have one. And sometimes if we're in the mood at night, we'll just start kind of like having a little drum circle on our own, just kind of beating the drum. But we're not drummers. We just have fun with it. But doing an exercise that involves hand-eye motor brain coordination, I think is good for you. I think it stimulates your brain in some way. So practice that. I'll tell you what, I didn't want to do it this early because I want to make sure you're watching much later. But we'll do it early today. I want you to, so the secret word today will be paradiddle. That's a paradiddle. It'll be paradiddle. And if you want to, make sure you bury it in the comments somewhere like, hey Dave, I tried to do a paradiddle and I was not successful, or something like that. Bury the word paradiddle in your comment. Paradiddle is spelled, I think this is right, it's P-A-R-A, it's all one word, P-A-R-A-D-I-D-D-L-E, paradiddle. So, yeah, this came in only 21 minutes or so into this. So, having your secret word now, I hope you keep watching. I don't want you to give up, because I'm going to mention your name if you bury the word paradiddle. Or you can even, if you don't even want to use the word paradiddle, you can say something about drumming. Anything about drumming would be fair enough. I'll pick it up. So I want to keep it a little bit cryptic, because again, I don't want everybody saying the secret word was paradiddle and then others can come on and just see it. So bury it in your comments like so many of you have done so eloquently. It's really getting to be cool. Speaking of that, we'll do a 180-degree segue. Somehow before I pressed record this morning, I was thinking about my past a lot. Maybe, is that the kind of thing like when you get older, do you think about your past more and more? I don't know. But one thing that came up in my memory was the old days with our dad and boating. Our dad, he was never an RV guy, never had an RV, which is kind of a shame. That would have been fun as a family. Well, actually, I don't know if that would have been fun. Packing 5 people into an RV and going out on a trip. Would that have been fun? I don't know. But so our dad became a boater, kind of midlife and later in life. I'd say maybe he was in his 40s or so, something like that. He got into boating and he bought like a little 18-foot runabout. So just picture like a little boat, 18 feet long with an outboard engine on it. I think did he have like an Evinrude? That was like one of the popular engines, Evinrude, or there was another type of engine. Or do you call them motors? Motor or engine? I don't even know what you call them on a boat now. I can't remember, but Evinrude, Mercury. Mercury was another very popular, Evinrude and Mercury from my memory. So he didn't know anything about boating, but he just went out and bought this 18-foot runabout. It was used. And he had it docked at a place in Middle River, I believe, Middle River or Back River. It's like a little thing off of the Chesapeake Bay. The Chesapeake Bay was, of course the Chesapeake Bay, big body of water that the Atlantic, I guess, that dumps into the Atlantic Ocean, but it's like a big inlet in Maryland and Virginia. And there are also tiny little inlets off of that, rivers that come into it. So it was around Middle River where he used to dock this thing, and we used to take it out and have fun and ride around, and something, sometimes the water would get choppy and we'd be bouncing around. It would be just a lot of fun. But then as I got older, a little bit older, he ditched the runabout, the 18-foot runabout, and he bought a houseboat. He bought this big houseboat. If you could picture a houseboat, it looks like a house on the water. No, it's not a yacht. It's not one of those big. It just looks like a square thing. It had like I don't remember exactly, like a sitting room. It definitely had a bathroom, a kitchen, maybe like some type of bedroom. I don't remember exactly, but it was like probably like an RV on the water. That's what it was like. And again, our dad didn't know anything about how to run a houseboat. And the first year we had this thing, he like crashed into things. He tried to like bring it back to the dock, and he like tore pylons off the dock. It was hilarious. I think all the owners of all the marinas like, look out for Mr. Maddow. Here he comes. He's gonna crash. But we had a lot of fun with this thing. It was great. I was at the age where I was probably about 16 years old or so when he got this houseboat, and so I never really like took it out on my own and drove it. You don't call it driving. It's, or what do you call it? It's not driving the houseboat, but I never ran the houseboat. There's probably a better word for that. I can't think of what it is. I never like piloted the houseboat or something like that. But we had a lot of fun with it. And then there are all kind of stories that came with that. Like I remember our dad passed away a few years ago. God bless him. So he was such a great guy. So many great memories. But he told us later in life. He told us all these stories about like when he and his best friend we called him Uncle Miles, and I think I've talked about Uncle Miles on a previous episode. He wasn't really an uncle, but he was a next door neighbor. And back in those days, instead of calling him like Mr. by his last name, we just call all of our parents' best friends Uncle and Aunt. So he was Uncle Miles to us. So he had a special day every week that he and my dad would go out. It'd be like guys' night out. And in the season, when it was warm enough, they would go out on the houseboat. And I never knew this back then, but my dad told us a story that one night they were out on the houseboat in the middle of the Chesapeake Bay somewhere, or maybe it wasn't the Chesapeake Bay, but it might have been Middle River, somewhere on the water. And some other boat came up to them and started, they were like troublemakers. They weren't pirates or anything, but they were like some kind of troublemakers. And they tried to, I don't know if they tried to get on the houseboat. I'm not sure what happened, but again, I'm hearing this story like a couple of decades later. Like I didn't know about it when I was 16 or 17. I didn't know this story happened. But my dad and Uncle Miles decided that they were going to have to get some type of protection because they didn't want this ever. Luckily, nothing bad ever happened. But so my dad went to a gun shop and bought a revolver. And knowing my dad, he probably had no idea how to use it. I don't think he never got properly trained. At the very most, he may have gone to the shooting range one or two times and just try to work it out, see if he could shoot it. But he would keep this gun on the houseboat, I guess fully loaded, not really knowing how to use it properly, but just having it there. And that's the thought of that now. I mean, thank God nothing ever happened, any kind of situation where he would have had to use that, because I don't know how, it would not have ended pretty. When you have a firearm, you've got to be trained, you've got to work out self-defense and scenarios in your mind, like if this happens, here's what I do. But my dad, he was just kind of like flew by the seat of his pants, and again, thank God nothing ever happened. He never had to use that thing, but it could have been a total disaster. Now, when he got much older, and I knew that gun was still lying around his house in his closet somewhere, I actually took it away from him, because this was probably when he was into his 80s. I did not want to have our dad, an 80-some-year-old man, with this revolver with ammunition in his closet. It was unacceptable for me. Who knows what he possibly could have ended up doing by mistake, by accident. So I stole the gun from him one day, and I told him, I said, Dad, that gun is now in my possession. And he said, I want it back. I said, no, Dad, you're not, I'm sorry, you can't have that gun. It's at your age, I just don't want you, it's not safe. And he finally, there's nothing he could do. I wasn't going to give it back to him. So to this day, I still have that in my gun safe. I've actually tried it out at the range. It's actually kind of a fun gun to shoot. It's a kind of an old model. I can't even remember what it is. An old model. It holds six rounds. It's a revolver, and it's kind of fun to shoot. So whenever I shoot that one, I remember my dad, and I thank the universe that he never had to use that in any kind of emergency or non-emergency or whatever. But I've got it in my possession now. Sorry, Dad. Sorry, but I've got it. I think you're happy that I have it and you didn't have it. But then when he got sick of the houseboat, he somehow bought his original 18-foot runabout back. Like, he knew the guy that he sold it to, and the guy, I think, got tired of it, and my dad sold the houseboat and bought the runabout back. So by this time, I was probably, I might have been 18, 19, 20, 21, and maybe 20 something, 20, early 20, something like that. I might have even been in dental school at the time. I'm not sure. But I was at the age now that I was driving and I could go down and take the boat out by myself or with a friend. And we had so much fun. If I would take a friend out and we'd go out on this boat, I knew the waters well enough that we had like a favorite restaurant. We'd pull up to the dock and we'd, anchor tie the boat down and go into this restaurant and eat. And it was a blast. We had so much fun with this boat. But there was one time I remember the water was really super rough, and it was like, even though it wasn't like on the bay itself, but the water can get rough, and we were like zipping along, and it was like doom, doom, and it was coming out of the water. I think at some point we flew out of the water so high. What must have happened, the engine must have revved up super, super, super high, and it like blew out the engine. And here we were stuck in the middle of nowhere with a boat that we couldn't start the engine again. It was bad. So we didn't really have, I don't think it was like the equivalent of AAA for boats. What would be that? Like, instead of the American Auto Association, the American Boating Association? I don't even know if there's such thing. There's probably something like it. But I think what I had to do was just flag somebody down, and they ended up towing us to land. And somehow, as we found out, it needed like a super expensive motor replacement or motor job or engine job or something like that. And I remember to this day, my dad, it was a lot of money to fix this thing. It was a lot, but my dad never got angry at me. I think he was super happy that I was able to enjoy this boat. And even though I totally screwed up the engine on it, he never yelled at me about it. He just said, next time you got to be more careful. And he paid for it. I don't think he even made me pay for it. So that was really appreciated. That's one of the really cool memories I had from my dad. We got a lot of good memories. But getting back to the houseboat though, it was like an RV on the water. And so even though he was never into RVing, we definitely had a taste of RVing, only it was on the water. So we did all the things, you got the little bathroom that you treat it's pretty much the same, works the same way as a bathroom on the RV. You got your little kitchen there. You got, you get things that convert into beds and into sofas. It was pretty cool. It was pretty darn cool. Those are some really good memories that I had from back then. What else do I want to talk about? I don't know. And by the way, green tea, as usual, green tea. There were just a few comments on my last episode, on episode 4, about that the family of hate, and many of you that commented made a comment like, people like that definitely are narcissistic. But they don't really have this might be an oxymoron, but they're narcissistic, but they actually don't really have a high opinion of themselves, which that might contradict. But when people don't have a high opinion, when they don't love themselves, truly love themselves deeply, they try to get other people down to their level, and they kind of get off on getting into fights, getting into arguments with other people, and having hatred. And somebody, I can't remember who it was, pointed out on my channel in the comments. Who was it? I'm not sure who it was. I don't have it in front of me, but they made some really good points that you just gotta put them in the past. They're not good human beings at all. Forgive them, which I have done. I don't care. I don't hold any grudges. I've talked to you about this in the past. I don't hold any grudges, because if I held a grudge, it would only hurt me. It wouldn't hurt anybody else but me. So I really have made it a point over the years not to hold hatred, not to hold grudges. But having said all that, it really is amazing how this family of hate continues to propagate. And I'm quite sure the youngest members, the youngest generation of this family of hate now, who are these two girls. I won't mention any names because that's not really fair. But these two girls, they're both I think they're both kind of losers, I hate to say. When they have offspring, there's no question, it's 100% chance that they will teach their offspring how to hate exactly the way their parents and grandparents and maybe even generation, but I didn't know the generation before. I think it's just, that's why I call it a family of hate. They thrive on hating other people, which is really so sad, isn't it? Isn't it sad when you've got to live your life having conflict and hatred towards other people? It can't be healthy. I don't see how that could be healthy in any way. And you can make it seem like your life is perfect, which the family of hate does. They make it seem like everything's so great in their lives, but it's so sad to know that inside they harbor hatred. It's really sad for me to even know that. Yeah, I've forgiven a long time ago. There's no bother at all there. My life is great. I'm very, very thankful to whoever I'm thankful for, whether it's God, the universe, higher powers, whoever it might be. I'm thankful that my life is good. It's really good. That's not to say that something can't happen at any time. I'm smart enough to know that life is very fragile, and you got to be thankful for every single day because who knows, like tomorrow something really bad could happen, and I'm not naive enough to. I mean, I realize that I'm not naive enough to ignore that possibility. Life is weird. Life is very strange. Didn't the Moody Blues do a song called, I think it was in the early 70s, they had a song, early to mid 70s, called Isn't Life Strange? What's it like? Isn't life strange? Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. You get extra points, extra bonus points if you mention Isn't Life Strange? Okay, I just threw that in there because some of you that watched it only to 21 minutes or so, and you've got the code word now, drumming or paradiddle, you think you can stop watching, but no, I've got a second code word. So if you get both of them, you get bonus points. You get double mention maybe next time. In my next episode, you get a double mention. So that's like the highest level. Isn't life strange? Code word number 2. Isn't life strange? It is. It's very strange. I've been through, I'll tell you something. I could probably open up another YouTube channel and have a subject of just the crazy things that have happened in my life. And they're crazy things. I mean, I just remember, oh God, some of the stupid, did I ever tell you, like in college, I think I told you part of this, but I never told you I got in big trouble. Maybe I did tell you this, for throwing a water balloon out the window of my dormitory and hitting an older tenured professor. Actually, I don't think it hit him. I think it hit the ground around his feet. But this old guy, he was probably 50 at the time, but as a college student, I looked at him as like, no, I think he was much older than that. But he was like one of these older, lifelong tenured professors who happened to be walking around the campus. And we were having some fun in the dorm, and I chucked a water balloon like right out the window, and it nearly missed this guy, and he got so pissed off that he practically had me thrown out of the school. So I've got weird story after weird story after weird story. I could have another channel. I would never run out of material. Trust me, because my life is still evolving, and I've got still weird stories that happen even now. I do. I'm trying to think of the weird. Let's see. Oh, okay. I'll share a weird story that happened to you. It happened to me just the other day. This absolutely happened. It was last week. I don't know why I attract them. I just don't know why I attract crazies. I do. But okay. So I had an appointment, and I don't think I talked to you about this yet. I don't think, because it just happened really. So I don't believe I talked to you about this. But I was at a car wash, and did I tell you this story yet? I don't think I did, because it just happened this past week. So I don't think I told you in my last episode. I don't think I did. If I did, I'm really sorry, but I don't think I did. So I was at a car wash, And it was one of these car washes where they have it was a self-serve car wash where you pay a certain, you put your credit card in and you use a wand and you power spray your car, then you can foam brush it. And I like those because I'm in control and I can do a pretty good job in like 5 to 10 minutes getting my car really clean. It's fun. It's kind of fun. So I love this one particular one I go to, and it's usually not crowded at all, but this particular day I pulled up and every single bay was occupied. So I figured, okay, what should I do? It's never happened to me before, so I figured I'm going to wait. I'm going to park my car I'm in my car, but I'm going to stop my car in an area where it's kind of like at the bank, like the next person that leaves, I'll go into that bay. That'll be mine. So I kind of stopped in a staging area where, okay, I'm next in line. I'm going to go. So all of a sudden, I see this guy pull up and puts his car, it looks like some guy was finishing up. So this guy, I don't know if he saw me waiting or not, but he just pulled right in front. So within 5 seconds, this other guy pulled out, which was my spot. It was going to be my bay, but this guy pulls right in front of me, not caring. And I was upset. So I drove my car, I started honking my horn, drove my car over to that bay. I rolled my window down. I said, hey, I tried to be super nice. I said, hey man, I've been waiting for 10 minutes for the next one to open up. And you just pulled in and that's not cool. And he looked at me and he said, I didn't see you waiting. I didn't see you. And I said, yeah, I was waiting right over here for the next one to open up. And he looked at me and he said, these are the exact words. He said, I don't give a shit. And he just got out of his car and started. It looked like he started washing it. He was going to get started. Now, I'm not one that wants any kind of conflict. Why would I ever escalate something like that into a fight? It's not worth it. And I'm a nice guy. I try to be a nice guy. So the first thing that came to my mind was, I said, hey, peace, brother. That's all I said. Peace, brother. Okay, let's have peace. Let's not worry about this. I drove back to that kind of staging area to wait for the next one to open up. And it's so funny, within 15 seconds, the guy in the next bay who must have overheard the whole thing looked at me and pointed, the guy left. The guy must have felt so bad. I mean, I think he wanted a fight. And he felt so bad when I just said, hey, peace, brother. And he just maybe felt so guilty that he just drove away. And guess what? Guess who got his car washed? That was my bay. I pulled in. So I think there's a lot to be said for, first of all, yeah, I attract myself into weird situations all the time like this. This is nothing compared to some of the stuff I get into, but I've learned over the years to try to just use kindness and not provoke anybody and not start any kind of fight, but use kindness and love to get what you want. And oftentimes it really does work. So I learned here, instead of escalate, this guy wanted a fight. When he said, I don't give a shit. I mean, he wanted me to come back with something that was even worse than that. And then who knows what he would have done. But when I gave him love, it took him by such surprise. He didn't know what to do. He did not know what to do. So he just drove away. Now, how do we use this in everyday life? Love can be more powerful than hate. And going even back to the family of hate, I don't know what would ever happen if I saw even one of them in public. Now, I'm in Salt Lake City now. They're back in Owings Mills, Maryland. I don't know where those kids live. I don't really care where the kids live, but they might live somewhere else. But the main family of hate lives in Owings Mills, Maryland. So if I were back home and if I saw one of them in public, they would probably expect me to give them the finger or something like that. I would probably just blow them a kiss, say, hey, I love you, or something like that. And that would probably flip them out. They'd probably be so pissed at love because that's not in their nature. Their nature is not to love. Their nature is to hate. And so my point is, and I just proved it with the car wash guy, when somebody is pissed off, has hatred, is just not a really nice person, if you throw a little bit of love at them, maybe that's all they need. Maybe all they need is a little bit of love. And was there a song like that? A little bit of love. Anybody that knows music, God, there's some kind of song, God, from the 60s maybe? I can't remember what it is. I can't remember, but like a little bit of love in your heart. I can't remember, but it does work. It does go a long way and gets the job done instead of hatred, fighting, cussing somebody out, giving somebody the finger. I mean, the love goes a long way, especially to somebody that has, maybe the people that have hatred inside of them. Like this guy at the car wash obviously was not a happy person, because I will submit to you that a happy person would never say to somebody, I don't give a shit. A happy person wouldn't do that. So this guy could have had a bad day. Maybe he had a really tough childhood. I don't really know. I don't know his story. But when I threw a little bit of love to him, hey, peace, brother, I hope it changed him in some way, in some little way. I hope it changed his life. I don't think it did, but even for that day, even for that moment, wouldn't that be cool if I was able to change his life just a little bit? So I don't know, maybe the same thing could be. I think the family of hate is probably way beyond that point. I don't think at this point in their lives, I hate to say it like this, I don't think love could help them feel better about themselves. I don't think it could. I think they're way beyond that. Maybe their kids, or maybe future grandkids, but I don't know. I hope so. I really pray that they become happier, because having people that hate others is not good for mankind. It's not good for anybody. So I would do anything in my power to help somebody that harbors hatred to get it out of the system. I would say to you, if there's anybody in your family or circle of friends or business associates or anybody that you harbor any kind of hatred towards, let it go. Let it go. Life's too short. What are you going to be in your final years, your final days of life, and you're going to be happy that you've hated people so much? No, you won't be. Trust me. You'll be much happier in the end. At the end of your life, you'll be much happier if you're full of love. I'm hopefully not at that point yet, so I don't know. But it would be interesting to interview people. It would be really interesting to go to like a retirement facility or nursing home or something, and just interview people and ask them questions like, what's the most important thing that ever happened to you in your life? Or what are you most happy about in your life? Or what do you regret? I know that studies have been done and interviews have been, I know that, but I'd love to do it myself too. I would love to get into conversations with people that are much closer to the end of their lives, and just say, hey, what would you have done differently? Was your life all about money? Was your life all about competing with others? And do you feel good about that if it was? I'd love to know a lot of these answers. My guess would be that the most important things in our lives would have to be non-material things, such as friendships, families, maybe work that we really loved, but we didn't do it just to keep working hard and making more money, but maybe we were contributing to society in some way. Maybe, for example, like a fireman. A fireman is somebody that helps society every single day by saving people, putting out fires, saving structures. I mean, that's pretty important. We couldn't do without, and I just made that one up. There are millions like that, but we couldn't do without firemen, policemen, doctors, first line responders, things like that, nurses. We need people like that. So having something like that, or whatever you do for a living, is probably making a difference in some way in somebody's life. But again, are you doing it only for the money and you want to accumulate more and more and more and more? Or are you doing it for what I think is a much better reason, because you want to serve humanity, help others, help the planet, do what you can just to make this world a better place? I think when we come to the end, if we've done that, I think that's really significant. Really significant. And I think if we were honest in our relationships and treated people the way, kind of, what is it, the what's it called, the golden rule, isn't it the golden rule? Treat others the way that you would want to be treated. I don't think the guy at the car wash would want somebody coming up to him and saying, I don't give a shit. I don't think he would want that. So I think maybe I helped him with the golden rule a little bit. I don't know. I don't know anything about this guy. I'll probably never see. I don't even remember what he looked like. He drove a black car. That's all I remember. He drove a black. It was like a black, maybe some type of Nissan. I don't even remember that. But I don't remember him. I'll never. Even if I see him, I'll never remember him. But I wonder if maybe that day he just changed a tiny bit. A tiny, tiny bit. If that's true, and if I was instrumental in that, that makes me feel really good. Really good. Because he wouldn't, like I said, he wouldn't want anybody treating him the way he treated me. So maybe he's given that some thought. That would be really cool. Wow. I always say if I help one person with what I'm doing, like for example, this episode right now, a friend to lean on. If I help one person watching this, then it made my day. If I help a few hundred, that's even better. I don't have a ton of viewers on this. I don't have thousands and thousands of viewers on a friend to lean on. I got usually a couple hundred, maybe something like that, which is good. It's important to me because that means there's a couple hundred people out there that really do care about having a friend to lean on. And I'm that friend. I can be that friend. I can be that friend for as long as you want me to be that friend, or as short. Again, if you have a problem getting to sleep, just put your darn phone right next to your pillow and play this for an hour, and you'll probably fall asleep within 5 minutes. That's how boring it is, right? Is it boring? I don't know. I mean, I try not to make it boring, but I try to make it just off the cuff, non-scripted. It's Dave talking. It's a friend of yours talking to you. Yeah, I'm talking right to you, only to you. I'm imagining just you are sitting behind this camera. I'm watching you, and we're having a friend talk. And by the way, you can tell me anything you want. If you had a tough day, you can tell me that. I'll listen. I'll do my best to listen. I will. Because I care about you. I care about every single one of you that's gotten this far. We're just about at the end. I said I keep them to 50 to 60 minutes. We'll make this one a little bit on the shorter side today. We'll just go a little bit over 50 minutes, and I think that's good enough for today. Again, things don't have to be perfect. Brother Marshall, when you're doing the YouTube channel, they just have to be good enough. And I think today's episode was good enough, don't you think? It was good enough. I think I helped some people here. I hope I did. Let me know what you think of this series. It'll only help me getting more feedback from you, letting me know what you think of the Friend to Lean On series. So until next time, I'm Dr. Dave, and yes, I am your friend. You can definitely lean on me. I'll see you next time.